Laney said, but the idea has been put in my head, and it seems like we're talking about that the interplay between human psychology and social media platforms is fundamentally changing humanity and the human brain, right?
Yeah.
In specific ways through this algorithm and this sort of self-feeding thing. How is it changing the human brain specifically in your mind?
Well, so the most basic thing that these platforms are doing is targeting and manipulating what social scientists call activating emotions. So the fundamental thing about the algorithm is whatever makes you feel not only the most emotions, but these specific kinds of emotions, and you can list them out. Those are the things that win. So again, this gives the lie to this notion that the cream rises because they've built it in such a way. It's like building a slot machine and you go, okay, people respond to colors. People respond to this kind of noise. It happens in this pattern. If you vary up the pattern, people are like lab rats.
And also you can
specifically
manipulate people based on their choices.
Yeah, that's micro-targeting. So okay, people who, buy milk on Thursdays and drive this kind of car and, whatever and it's all correlation. It's not like you're psychic and you're looking into their brain. It's just you have a big enough sample size. And so you know what the patterns are.
Right.
There's also a technique that I don't know if I made this up or whatever, but I call it macro targeting. So there's micro targeting, which is cutting the population into these little slivers, like retired military moms who like paintball or whatever.
Right.
There's also macro targeting, which is it works on everyone. Anger works on everyone. Fear works on everyone. Disgust works on everyone. Loathing. So these are things that, and people will say to me, oh, you call the book antisocial. You're always talking about the negative side of these things. You're so down on social media. What about all the positive things? What about Black Lives Matter? What about Me Too and all this stuff? And I think the point is that stuff is very real. And there really are movements in human history that would not have happened or would not have happened as easily if not for the internet.
Yeah.
But I think what's crucial to remember is that these activating emotions that these algorithms prey on, there are positive activating emotions, but the ones that are easier to prey on are the negative ones.
Well, it's interesting because disgust, loathing, anger, fear, that to give those all voice and relief is actually, that's actually Pepe's catchphrase. It feels good, man. Feels good, man.
I know. Well, this is why these things tend to curdle. I mean, this is the Jaron Lanier argument, is that you can start out as the positive emotional side of the ledger, and it tends to curdle over time the more it gets caught up in the gears of the internet because
you're being played.
You're being played,
yeah.
And the algorithms lift up certain things and downgrade other things.
But QAnon, so what we're establishing is that it's a self-feeding monster that people can engage in and passionately and create little subgroups around it in reality, or online. It seems to be going both places. It encompasses a lot of white supremacist thinking, a lot of racist thinking, a lot of conspiratorial thinking. But I guess the question is, it's, as we've established here, is it's not fringe. It is mainstream. It is dangerous. And it's not going away. So where do you think this takes us?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we should be clear. People have been killed over this. A train has been derailed in California by someone who's a believer in this cult. It's definitely dangerous. And also in terms of it not being fringe, not only did the president not rebuke it, as you said, but there are multiple people now who are confirmed self-admitted QAnon believers
campaigning on it in Congress,
who are campaigning on it, running for Congress, and at least one of them will almost certainly be in Congress. So it's not just like, oh, there's this crazy offensive belief system
like it used to be back in the day.
Right.
Like
but
it's like the LaRouches or,
yes,
yeah.
Like the LaRouches or the Dixiecrats or whatever. But these are people who go around saying Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are trafficking children and harvesting their adrenal glands, and they're functioning Satanists, and they're sending secret messages to the children to try to indoctrinate them. And those are going to be their colleagues. It's kind of the best you can hope for is that they're just saying it cynically to get elected because they know.
Oh God, I hope so. But I feel like there's that's the minority.
Yeah, totally. No, and these things, it's these things can get embedded into our politics. I think it's hard to see now because this stuff is so lurid and so freakish and so vivid that it's like it has to be fringe because it's so crazy that, you know, we have this sort of natural impulse in the kind of like, you know, descended from Enlightenment values corner of the universe to say things will kind of self-correct, you know, the freakish and bizarre and anomalous.
You mean
will
the
not
cream
stay.
will rise to the top?
Exactly. That is like the intellectual galaxy brain version of that. And as you are saying, it's in itself bullshit because, you know, these things, like, this is what people were saying about birtherism. This is so insane. This is so fringe. This is so freakish. And now, like, birtherism has the presidency and multiple members of Congress, and we just don't notice it anymore.
Yeah, people want to believe too. They just want.
Yeah, it's like what happens with the pandemic or whatever. You have this horrific freak show happening day after day, and then you just get habituated to it and go like, "Oh, it happened again today."
Right. Yeah, and until that's just what we're living in. It's not happening today. It's not normalized. It is reality. These people now run things.
Right.
And the woke people, the Winston Smiths of the world, it's only a matter of time before they get hammered into believing.
Yeah, right. This is why I do think that I make room for a certain amount of like repetitive hysteria in my own world where I'm like, it's okay to constantly be saying what is happening, this isn't normal, because it's better than the alternative where you just accept it.
Of course. But it is a weird fight and a weird struggle. And the more you talk to who you think are like-minded people, what really becomes revealed in the face of this is not that your friends are going in a direction you don't necessarily know or understand. It's that most people are fucking shallow and they don't know, how to focus on information that will keep them sort of, engaged in the proper narrative around this.
Well, this is the thing. I think that most people are empty inside in like a profound way, and almost in like a Buddhist way. Like there is just a kind of like bubble of empty air at the core of people that, the woman I was referring to who became a Holocaust denier and sort of rose up through the ranks of this white identity movement.
Right.
She was, and this happened to a lot of the people I spoke to. She grew up in New Jersey, had a lot of multiracial friends growing up. It's never the cartoon of the, trailer park, whatever that people want it to be.
Yeah.
It's her family was, not a broken home, whatever, like all the stuff. And then I followed her through this whole, talked to her for dozens and dozens of hours, got to know her really well, still in touch with her. And at the end of all of it, she kept asking me, like, me in a way better than I know myself. What is your assessment of me? Am I just a bad person? Am I a monster? Did I have hate in my heart? And to my mind, I was like, I just think that's the wrong question. I think the issue is that there's this emptiness at the core of a lot of our decision making and a lot of our thinking where we don't go, oh, now I can tear my mask off and reveal that I've always hated Jews and black people. But it's just like when I was in high school, people were doing the Obama thing. So I did that. And now I ended up through these bizarre set of life circumstances, meeting a guy, and he led me toward this other group of people. And I was in love with him. So I went along with it. And now I'm a Nazi. And like, that's a
codependency problem. She should probably go to an Al-Anon meeting.
Yes, for sure. There's that. But everyone has that set of personal issues that can lead them down these alleys.
They don't have a functioning set of personal principles that were sort of forged, from their heart.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think that what we mean by principles and what we mean by like consistent beliefs is often a little bit more of a chimera than we would like to believe. Like, I think a lot of it is contingent on the fact that everyone else around us is doing some version of that too.
Right.
And that's ultimately why I really worry about changing how we talk, then in turn changing who we are. Because if everyone around you is saying this is what isn't the new normal, some large percentage of people are going to go along with that.
Right. And it's sort of like, Burroughs, I think once sort of, I don't know what the context was, but he said that the human brain is really a fairly simple and recording device.
Yeah.
Because that'll get you to that nothingness pretty quickly.
Yeah. And then you wake up one day and you're shooting your wife, you never know.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to end. And
gotta always go out on a high note with this stuff.
Thanks for talking to me, Andrew. It's great meeting you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
There you go. Did you fill your head up with that? Add that to the mix. That's what's happening now as we move towards the great catharsis. Andrew's book, Antisocial, Online Extremists, Techno-Utopians, and the Hijacking of the American Conversation, is out in paperback September 15th. And now I will play my Stratocaster for you through an Echoplex, and it sounded fun. Boomer lives, and Monkey, and LaFonda, and all the flying cats. Hey, don't forget, nothing lasts forever, but for some itchy allergy eye sufferers, it seems like allergy season never ends. If you've had it with rubbing your itchy allergy eyes all the time, you need Pataday Once Daily Relief. Pataday contains the #1 prescribed eye allergy itch relief ingredient, and now it's available without a prescription. With Pataday, just one drop once a day works fast and lasts all day. Relief season is here to stay. Get Pataday online in stores everywhere.